Depot Devoid!
Depot Devoid. Okay. You are kind of every once in a while the voice that I'm hearing gets a little wibbly, so I think just maybe be like kind of still, don't alter your distance too much.
Understood.
Yeah, it's this is I understand the desire to headbang when talking about any Canadian science fiction movie. But for the purposes of this technologically impaired recording session, maybe refrain just this one time.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, the laptop got a little bit spooky. There was a little bit of wibbly stuff with it, and I haven't been able to figure out the actual podcasting equipment problems just yet, but my time hasn't been entirely available. So I put that computer on the back burner.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Well, hopefully we'll get that sorted and hopefully this episode won't sound too terrible. We will do our best to be understood because obviously what we're going to be talking about today on Depot Devoid is of supreme paramount importance, uh, particularly in these trying times where we're recording in late February 2025, during the coup, and America is being overrun by monsters, and everybody is losing their jobs, and pretty soon we're all gonna die. But right now, we're gonna be talking about a Canadian science fiction movie, Ted.
Uh, so you said that this is Depot Devoid. Who the fuck are you?
Uh, as of today, I am still Matt Fagan. I am not known by a number tattooed on my arm anywhere, yet. And you, who are you?
I am Ted Fagan, recording from my secret bunker somewhere closer to the center of the Earth,
Oh
where
God, I
I'm
wish I had
scared of
one.
the bombs that are coming from North Korea and the problems that are being stemmed from our president.
You cut
And
out for just a
also
moment
Elon Musk.
there. You cut out for just a moment there, but I feel like considering that you're reporting from a bunker near the center of the earth, it probably makes logistical sense, for the purposes of this recording, that may happen occasionally. Um, so, okay, the story of what we're talking about today is sort of interesting because, okay, so your friend Erica had a dim recollection of a movie that she had seen a long time ago, and she remembered a couple of elements, uh, a curly-haired blonde kid as a protagonist. She remembered something about aliens maybe coming from a mountain, maybe something about a school bus, and definitely that there was a comic book in the movie, the plot of which reflected the events of the movie.
And again, Matt, your ability to fucking find this shit was
Here,
astonishing.
well, and that's what was fun was because I used to co-own a video store in Chicago, and this is the sort of thing that I always love to do. And there were also there used to be some different tools involved. Like there was I used to use the Internet Movie Database message boards for years. Those have been shut down for a while now. But back in the day, there was a message board called I Need to Know, where you could go and just literally put like okay, these are the four things I think I remember, and that you would crowdsource this phenomenon and people would come back right away with an answer most of the time. And I always loved doing stuff like that. And so this was a fun challenge, and it took what maybe 15, 20 minutes, and I came up with a movie called Laserhawk, which I feel like I had heard of before, but had definitely never seen. This is from, I believe it was 1997.
Yep.
It is a Canadian science fiction movie. There is a small role played by Mark Hamill, and that's about it for star power. It was sort of intriguingly forgettable. And what was funny was that you had some technical difficulties, so it is now way beyond when we were originally going to have a recording about Laserhawk. And so now I too barely remember it. And maybe that is the appropriate way to discuss this movie considering how it was found. Yeah, we were going to talk about a movie called The Stepfather, and I'm still pushing that one for next time. Because I'm kind of wanting to talk about some Canadian thrillers.
Oh yeah.
And this is not a thriller, but it is Canadian and has some elements that in more capable hands would probably have been thrilling in some capacity. And so this might be a nice sort of transition into some other Canadian stuff from our neighbors to the north who maybe we should think about saying some nice things about their movies in case we need their help later.
Are you thinking about going to the colder states?
I'm thinking that I have no idea what is going to happen in the coming weeks. And
Yeah.
I just I can't predict it. I have no fucking clue. Like what is happening right now is it's inconceivable. And
Uh, uh,
I I'm speechless.
yeah, yeah. And completely unrelated to all the horrible, horrible, like terrible political things. The other stuff that's happening that's also completely related to all of that. I'm really scared that I have to fucking fly on a goddamn airplane twice within the next week.
Yeah, that's
From what has happened.
we're up to what, like seven airplane crashes since the inauguration?
Yeah, fire everybody and then be like, oh, it's because of the Democrats and their hiring policies
Yeah,
rather than my firing policies.
the Trump administration is currently trying to basically purge the concept of non-white people from American history. And part of that is firing all of them, I guess. So yeah, guess what? Everybody's understaffed. And people are dying. And that is clearly a set of dots that could be connected. And yet we are talking about diversity policies instead, because that is so important. They have erased they have erased the mention of trans people from the Stonewall Monument. Like, it's literally an integral part of that story. Like, you can't actually tell that story without trans people. Well, terrible white filmmaker Roland Emmerich, who directed the movie Stonewall, he can tell that story without trans people or black people, really. Um, but real life, actual history, yeah, you can't do that. It's
Yep.
a part of the fucking story, guys. Uh, Also, Trump is talking about himself as a king. That's his new rhetoric, which is gross. Um, yeah, it's been a weird few days. Uh, I live in Eastern Oregon, and all of Eastern and Southern Oregon is represented by only one person in Congress, Representative Cliff Bentz, who is a uh, useless rag. And I call his offices every day, basically. Uh, but finally, he had agreed to do some town halls in Eastern Oregon. He held four town hall events. He announced them with less than a week notice. They took place midweek at either 10 a.m. or 3 p.m. Wednesday and Thursday, guaranteeing that a lot of people who would probably otherwise have been interested in attending would be unable to do so because of work or school. And there were still a lot of people at the event that he held here. He refused to answer direct questions. But what was encouraging is that there were a lot of people in attendance, and people are mad and getting madder. And I just really hope that more people begin to sort of wake up to the magnitude of what is going on here before it is literally too late to do something about it. I don't know what the answer is, but clearly it's not just falling in line. That is not the
No,
answer. And
no,
that is
it's
what
not.
our representative is doing on all points. But his constituents are getting increasingly upset about it, and hopefully that is going to maybe disturb him a little bit. Like, obviously, nothing bothers these people except the idea of losing their cushy positions. And hopefully, he will maybe worry about that a little bit. But yeah, weird week. We went to the protest on Monday. That was fun. And yeah, it was good seeing that there are people in the community, which is a very red community, who are not ready to accept this fucking bullshit.
Yeah, it's been really fucked up. I've been trying not to get too worked up over it because I've got a lot of shit on my plate anyway. But it's really frustrating, and I have found myself I listen to old ass fucking punk rock anyway because I'm a dork. But I've been very much had a song stuck in my head from Good Riddance from God knows how long ago. It's probably a decade and a half, if not 2.5 decades ago. And it's a simple, non-directed at any particular thing song, but The Last Believer by Good Riddance has been playing in my head nonstop for the last month. And
I will
and
check
it,
that out.
yeah, it's a good quick oldie. Uh
I am
America was
I'm
burning.
not familiar with it. I'm not familiar with it by name, but that does not mean I won't recognize it when I hear it.
Well,
So I'll check it
I'm
out.
I'm sure that at some point in the late 90s, if it's that old, and it probably is, it's probably on a mixed tape somewhere that Ian sent you.
I refuse to acknowledge that the late 90s is old.
Well, that's
It's
fine.
Ted, if it was a long time ago, why would we be watching 1997's Laserhawk?
A fine point you
Because
make.
that movie didn't have a lot of staying power.
Jesus Christ, were you 17 then?
No.
No, you're 8 years older
I
than
was
me.
definitely not 17 then.
Sorry, I math really bad right there.
No, I was
No,
I
I
was in
would
my
have been,
early 20s.
yeah,
Uh,
no, I would have
I
been
definitely
15.
missed it. I
You
was
would have been
in
23.
college.
Yeah, I'd math really bad.
So I was in college, and I had no time for Laserhawk. I would have been writing my
Ian would
thesis
have
when
been
this came out.
17. Yeah, Ian would have been 17.
That Yes, the missing Fagan brother would have been 17. Maybe he turned into a blue light and got absorbed after time traveling.
For 250
Ted,
million years.
I had enormous difficulty understanding the beginning of this movie. And
That's
it
your
is
fault.
no, okay, it is probably partly my fault, but it is definitely not entirely my fault. There is a prologue that is remarkably unclear. And there is some stuff about the prologue that I finally understood, like as the movie was kind of wrapping up. Um, but I think a lot of it just comes down to it doesn't seem like the person who wrote the prologue is the person who wrote the movie. And it definitely doesn't seem that the person who edited the movie and decided where the spoken narration of the prologue would overlay the images, that person did not know the movie. So it was very confusing and misleading as to the timeline of events that it was claiming had occurred at the beginning of this movie. And I was like, okay, I get the 250 million years ago part. Like that makes sense. 250 million years ago, the Arachtoids, the bad guys, some aliens, they seeded life on Earth. Okay, so that they could harvest us later. Got it. Great. That's all good. And then there's a peacekeeping race who comes along.
They're so
Time.
good at keeping peace.
They are. Well, their peacekeeping seems to be mostly about maybe vegetarianism. Uh, a
We'll get
peacekeeping
to that.
race decided that they didn't like this whole practice of seeding life on planets and then harvesting it later, which just seems like farming. Uh, and so they go around protecting planets that have been seeded by the Arachtoids. But then there's this mention of time travel to 1984. And that's the first part where I get a little bit lost, uh, because they're showing us a space fight and stuff, but that space fight does not happen in 1984. Um, and it gets a little. I figured it out later. I did, but at least I think I did. But it was not my fault. This lack of understanding was not my fault. I spent the beginning scenes of the movie itself being like, are they are they trying to make me believe that this is taking place in 1984? Because they're doing a very bad job. Because this looks like 1997, which it was. I figured it out, but it is poorly put together. This is not good. It was not good.
It's
Did
definitely got some problems.
did you understand that whole setup the first time through in terms of the timeline of events? Because to me, it looked like they were trying to say that the space fight and the crash happened in the mid 80s, which is definitely not what happened.
Yeah, no, no, that wasn't the thing.
But that's what the
They
narration was saying.
Yeah, sometimes Matt, I don't know if you realize this, but sometimes things are written really badly and you got to understand and accept it. It's just like the inconsistencies in The Hobbit when you read that book and you're like, that doesn't add up with what happened. And it was actually written after the Lord of the Rings trilogy and they're like, "Well, I'm going to fuck it up anyway."
I did not read The Hobbit. I tried
Shut your
once and
fucking mouth.
I thought it was
Shut your
boring.
mouth. You
And so
never
I
watched
didn't.
or never read The Hobbit?
No, I never watched The Hobbit either, if we're going
Well,
to
I
talk
didn't
about
watch.
that, but
Okay, I watched the first installment of The Hobbit where they made one shorter book into three goddamn 9-hour movies. But yeah, no, I've read The Hobbit and the Lord of the Ring trilogies at least three times in English because I'm a fucking monster, and one half time through the trilogy auf Deutsch. Uh, I got the trilogy in German still. When my friend Miranda went there when I was like 18, she was like, "Anything you want me to bring back?" I was like, "Bring me the Lord of the Rings in German, please."
yeah, nope,
Why not?
never read it. Never read it.
Mein Deutsch ist nicht sehr gut, but you know, it's still kind of fun to try and fuck around with other languages, even if I'm not great at it anymore.
I thought you were going to say that you had read it in like Elvish or something, and I was going to be really horrified.
Nein.
I read The Hobbit in Klingon.
I'm upset to say that that actually is a thing.
I I assumed that it was a thing when I said it as a joke. I as I was saying it, I knew it was real. It just had to
Your
be.
good joke isn't funny.
I'm sure that the songs are more beautiful in Klingon.
They're definitely more hardcore.
Ugh. Um, I I'm sort of I can't believe I have to talk about this movie. I'm trying to remember what happened. I'm really glad that I took notes because this movie was not it was I feel like there was a potential for an entertaining story in here that was very sloppily told, and then there were a couple of real standout what the fuck things in this movie that are not in a good way and not even really that fun, but just like how like when we get to MK Ultra, the comic book guy, uh there's let's say I had more trouble suspending my disbelief regarding his career than I did about the aliens.
I liked this movie strictly because of how ridiculous it is.
Oh, it's fun, but it's awful.
Yeah, it's like like another movie from my childhood that I haven't bothered to go find yet that involves like aliens coming to Earth that need copper to power their ship and their guns and shit. And
That's the
so they're like,
1986 remake of Invaders from Mars, starring Karen
oh,
Black, directed by Toby Hooper.
fuck you. I don't remember that. It was
It's
terrible.
actually
That's
no,
after a kid's penny collection?
it's the movie that I thought you were talking about when you first started to describe this movie.
You're right. They were coming after the kids' penny collection.
Yes.
It's so dumb. Absolutely awful.
It's yes,
Uh,
it's not good. But that's I was certain I had that somewhere on DVD, but I can't find it now.
uh, so, I mean, with this movie, I love how they play it off where it's like the main character's trying to be cool and trying to pick up the high school girl, blah blah blah, but it's a hoax that he's made and it doesn't
The
make any sense. And then he gets caught for the hoax, and his dad's like a huge cunt. Uh,
Well, it was weird that he attained popularity through the methods presented in this movie. That's the first like weirdly wrong-headed thing that happens is he is like our main character is Zach. He's a Lego maniac who used to be like a nerdy kid, and now he's like suddenly cool because he made a video of a UFO that became, well, like the equivalent of a viral video in 1997. So it was like a big deal. And but now he's like super cool. And I'm like, I don't think that would happen. I don't think that making this video would have made like the hot girl in school that was way out of his league be suddenly into him in that way. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the 90s were a different time. But it seemed kind
it's
of
Canadian hot
suspicious.
girl, Matt.
It's Ted, this is taking place in Wisconsin.
Wisconsin,
Melville,
Canadian.
Melville, Wisconsin.
No,
I don't know
it's
what you're talking
Canadian.
about.
Canada.
It's super Canadian. There's actually one of the menus in the background, you can see poutine on it.
Also, I have to point out I am intentionally not saying Canada because it's more fun to say it like this because it's bullshit.
But don't make them mad, Ted. We might need them. I love you, Can. Oh, Canada.
Our country reeks of trees. Our yaks
Yaks
are
are
really
really
large,
large
and
and
they
they
smell
smell
like
like
rotting beef
rotting beef
carcasses.
carcasses. Wow, I'm
And we
surprised any
have
of that was
to
in there.
clean up after them, and our saddle sores are the best. We proudly wear women's clothing as searing sands blow up our
Wow.
skirts. Oh fuck!
Searing
I think that was
sands
it.
blow up our skirts. That sounds right.
I think I got it.
I
Oh
haven't
fuck,
thought of
man!
that
I
in a
haven't
long
thought
time.
about that in like 30 goddamn years.
Yeah, I really loved those old Ren and Stimpies, and it's really sad to discover that John Cristoforetti is a horrible, horrible piece of shit, and it makes me feel
Yeah,
super uncomfortable
it makes me
watching
very
old
sad.
Ren and Stimpies. But like, yeah, it's just because some of those early episodes were like really important to me, like as a teenager, sort of learning comedy and like
Yeah.
some of that like that visual storytelling style. I mean I really responded to that. I'm thinking specifically of the episode Stimpy's Invention, which you might remember as the Happy Helmet one, was like the funniest
Happy?
thing I had ever seen at the
Happy.
time. Yeah, it's that he first puts the happy helmet on Ren and he becomes forcibly gleeful.
Oh
It
God.
was fucking hilarious. When he, yes, that the sound effects of him like
His jaw
ratcheting his
breaking into
smile.
the
Oh my
smile.
God, it was beautiful. I loved it.
Oh fuck.
I I still have those on DVD. I haven't pulled them out in a long time because they make me uncomfortable, but I haven't thrown them away the way I threw away all of my Louis C.K. DVDs. Like I feel like maybe like there's a I think that it is possible to separate the artist from the art in some instances, and I don't know if that might be possible for me with those old Ren and Stimpies at some point, but I am sure that I could never do that with a Louis C.K. stand-up set. So I just got rid of those. Uh but god damn it, the Happy Helmet was so funny.
I,
And
I think I bought the first two seasons of Ren and Stimpy many years ago, and we started them together, but I don't know how far we got. And I didn't realize that the dude was that much of a piece of shit at the time. And I've still
yeah.
hung on to them because I still want to revisit that because it was a really big part of my childhood and an appreciation that I had for something that at the time I wasn't able to watch when it was out. I had to watch it if I was at somebody else's house because uh, the man that our mother was dating cut the cords off of all of the televisions in the house, and I lived
Ah.
in a town with a population of 2,212 people, and it's hard to find friends with TV when all of your
Yeah.
TVs don't have cables anymore because you live with a monster who likes to beat you. Um,
Yeah.
and also, when you have to live in a basement and you don't get to go upstairs to go pee, and you have to stand on a pile of clothing to pee into a utility sink because you're not tall enough to get your ding dong over the edge of the thing. It's a weird life.
You you had different priorities than watching Ren and Stimpy?
Well, no, I tried to have that as a priority, but unfortunately, that wasn't where I was at.
I was I was doing better than that at the time. I mean, I was in high school, so I wasn't doing that great. But I was able to record the Ren and Stimpy every Saturday on Nickelodeon. I would record them on VHS because they were still in first run at that time, and I was collecting them all. And I
Like
watched
Pokemon?
them a lot. It was no, people later would collect Pokemon the way I collected Ren and Stimpy. I did it first.
You're running Stimpy balls?
I was the first person to accumulate. Full stop. Uh,
So we've
so
gotten so far in discussing this.
we have. Um, I'm not sure how much of this movie is worth breaking down in detail. But there are a couple of things I would like to talk about. Maybe
Why
we should
vegetarians?
well let's I mean, should we sort of encapsulate the plot more or less? Just to maybe we can do that before we run out of time in this first session and then
Yeah,
we
we don't
can
need a lot.
no, no,
Let's
but basically, so basically, those benevolent aliens that we were talking about before, they came here 250,000 years ago. Uh,
250 million years
no,
ago.
250 million is when they seeded the planet.
Whatever.
It's, I know. Oh, I hate this movie. Um,
I
look, I
loved it
don't
anyway.
if the timeline was that important, they would have tried harder to make it make sense. The aliens come, there is a gas leak on their ship before they can come and do their thing, and they crash, the good aliens, and they like die or whatever, except their souls.
Sparkly ball.
Yes, they're magic. They're all sparks. Um, travel through time for some reason to 1984 specifically, and occupy the bodies of three human beings. Uh, and those human beings, for whatever reason, are Luke Skywalker and two children.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
There's not. Was there any explanation that you saw that I missed about why these people were selected?
I believe that the children were selected so that we could have kids, and Luke Skywalker was selected because they probably gave him money and he must have been suffering at some point.
Yeah, he probably needed to buy a boat. They're, yeah, uh, the humans remembered this event as a dream, from which they awoke each with an object, that they were given. And none of them ever mentioned it to anyone, for some reason. And then a bunch of time passed, and now those children are the protagonists of this movie, and Mark Hamill is in a crazy house.
Yep.
And yes, uh, and oh my God. And now those two kids live in the same town of Melville, Wisconsin, and Mark Hamill in the crazy house is the only one of them who seems to actually remember
Anything.
any of this. He has some sort of conscious memory of the alien persona that is within him. So he's in the crazy house, and he told his alien crazy story to an orderly there, who then turned it into a comic book. And the plot gets rolling when Zach comes home from school and the military is there to talk about his video. Because unbeknownst to him, like we don't understand why the military wants to talk about his video. They don't explain that. But the
Not at
real
all.
reason is that the ship that he built to fake his UFO video is the ship that he remembers from his dream as a child, and is also the actual ship that the aliens crashed in, that the military has salvaged from the bottom of the ocean. And so they know something's up because they recognized the ship in the video that he faked. Ugh, this is exhaustingly complicated. It doesn't really have to be.
Well, I mean, being that they never actually explain anything, It doesn't have to be exhaustingly complicated. It just has to be exhaustively unexplainable.
It's just exhausting. Um, so the story is really about this. It is about the three human beings who have aliens in them coming together,
Oh, now that just sounded a little perverted.
which is just going to bring excitement to this movie, which is lacking in some excitement. Some perversion might help things. Uh, so the kids with the aliens all up in them have to seek out an older adult that none of them have ever met, so that the things inside them can touch his insides, and together they can fight the aliens who are coming to harvest us. Um, oh, also, the ship is called Laserhawk,
Which
which
is never fucking explained.
it's no, it's never, it's not important either. It's yeah, it's called Laserhawk, so that's why the movie is called Laserhawk. Uh, I yeah, the name would have been why I never saw this movie. I kind of remember it being around, and if it hadn't been called Laserhawk, I might have picked up the VHS box at some point and looked at it. But the name Laserhawk was, I mean, it seems really off-putting to me. I was not on board for that.
No, this is a movie that you end up watching like early morning on a Sunday that is broadcast on just standard television.
Yes,
And you're like, oh
absolutely.
yes, it's 10:22 on a Sunday. Let us watch Laserhawk
Do you
and heat
think
some microwave chili.
do you think this movie exists in widescreen format, or is it just always full frame?
Full frame.
I can't imagine that there's a widescreen version or that anyone is clamoring for it.
No,
This but
I
yeah, so
find
this
that this
is
movie is hard
about
enough because Captain Laserhawk is a much more popular thing that shows up every time you try and seek it out.
yes, that's true. And it apparently that's like a really like a perverted cartoon of some kind.
No idea.
I believe it is. We are just about out of time for this bit, and we will have to come back and yeah, talk about what is actually going on here. And I have some things to
Dig into the
say
meat of the
about
Laserhawk.
I've got some things to say that are not really Laserhawk related. They're MK Ultra related. Uh,
Are we gonna do some acid?
no, the other MK Ultra.
Oh, fuck, man. I thought it was
All
drugs
right.
time.
Nope, nope, not time yet. We
All
will
right.
be right back. Ted, may your enemies' dicks be bitten off. See you in a
Approved.
minute.
Welcome back to my secret bunker, somewhere deep beneath the earth. I am Ted Fagan of Depot Devoid. Here we hide, away from our enemies who have fractured us and sent us down here. Oh, wait, no, fuck that. I
Down
don't have the.
here, it's
Yeah.
our time. It's our time down here.
I will live above the surface of the earth, not on it, but above.
Oh, like 4 feet, like four
No,
feet above the covers.
no, no, that's too much. I try and keep it simple. I like maybe a millimeter. You know, I don't want anyone to know that I can lie.
Oh, okay. I mean, if you could do that, if you could just be a millimeter above, like without any effort, that would probably be great for your back.
There's still impact because you stop at that millimeter point. It
Just
sucks.
like do you have to? Like you can't just like
Don't fuck with my
huh.
superpower, dude.
Look, I'm just okay, I mean it's your superpower, I guess if you want to be like that about it.
Wow. I mean, you think that I want it to be this way?
I think that this is your fantasy and that this is the path you've chosen.
Oh, this is a fantasy and a path I've chosen. This is a life that I live. I don't choose this.
It chose you.
It didn't choose me either. I'm just fucked with it. God. Sometimes you're really rude.
Who are you? Everybody at work? Oh,
Yeah.
hilarious.
Good times.
So we are sort of talking about the movie Laserhawk tonight. And
What?
we've been occasionally distracted by other topics like the complete unraveling of the American dream,
We
which
haven't even talked about the vegetarian problem of this movie.
the vegetarian problem is weird. Okay, so we can start to touch on that a little bit. I brought it up momentarily when I was trying to figure out the beginning of this movie, because our benevolent aliens clearly have some sort of anti-flesh eating agenda because they are targeting the Arachtoids, and trying to stop them from harvesting the meat on the planets that they themselves have seeded. Now, I don't want to be arguing against my own self-interest here, but it seems to me that according to the premise of this movie, the human race is in fact the property of the Arachtoids.
Yep.
And by any standards that we as American meat eaters understand, that means that no benevolent aliens have the right to come in here and save the human race, especially when we haven't asked them to. Like, if we had figured out that we were being farmed and said, hey, we collectively have decided to come together on this issue and would prefer to not be farmed. Hey, look, benevolent aliens, could you guys help? That would be more understandable. But they just kind of swooped in here and are basically just like blocking the gate to the Arachtoid's own farm and saying, no, you can't do that. So that's kind of weird. Also, our main kid Zach and the girl who it has the other alien in her body, Kara, I think. They both make a point of talking about how they don't eat meat, which is
And
fine.
that's about it.
But yeah, it's just it feels really weird that they have done that. Like he works at a diner where they have totally fucking kick-ass waitress uniforms. That is maybe the best thing in this movie. Which is not like that's not an insult. I just mean I love the waitress uniforms. I'm a
I
big
will not
fan.
argue.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that style of waitress uniform in general, and this is a great example of it. I totally love it. So Zach is working there. Kara, the cool girl, way cooler than the hot girl, like the girl obviously that he should have been into all along, is hanging out there, and they have a little like a kind of a meet cute. She has known all along that his video was a hoax. And she knows that because she reads this comic book that has the ship in it. So she knows that it wasn't a real UFO. The weird thing is that like I mean since it's based on a real spaceship like it could have actually been a UFO, but I mean it wasn't. But the conclusion that she leapt to is sort of erroneous. Like just because it's the same design doesn't mean there can't be a real one, as we'll discover later, called the Laserhawk.
Because obviously there's hawks where their
And
lasers are
yeah,
from 250 million years ago.
But the comic book, the Dark Ones trilogy, that's where we sort of start to learn about that. But first of all, she tells him a story about how she used to work at a restaurant and she got fired because she talked about how eating meat was immoral to a customer who was eating meat, and they bonded over the fact that they both don't eat meat. Introduced into the dialogue very awkwardly.
Why?
He caught me telling a customer that eating dead animal flesh was disgusting and immoral. Do you think that was out of line?
Well, you know, I don't eat meat either, but
You realize that makes you totally weird.
yeah.
Well, I guess there's worse things than being totally weird. It could be totally normal.
Um,
Also, completely never mentioned again in the rest of the movie. And when we meet Luke Skywalker, he's not like, I don't eat meat. We just, it's immediately forgotten and a non-part of the rest of the goddamn thing.
but it was so pointed. Like it's dropped, but it was clearly a thing for them. And since the whole movie is about food, essentially, it there has to be a draft of this movie where it is a much bigger deal.
Yeah, but it's not, which also entertainingly means that we can just slough right past this bullshit.
Are you suggesting that you don't want to talk for 40 or 50 minutes about the moral message of this movie in with regard to eating people?
Uh, Matt, I gave up on vegetarianism. So let's bring on that beautiful human flesh.
Yum. Well, we will get a chance to eat a school bus full of high school douchebags.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we could also slough past that. I mean, why would we even worry about it? These are all moot points.
Yeah. Okay. Basically, there's a comic book that talks about the fact that this is happening. Kara reads the comic book, so she knows about this story. Then Zach sees a UFO, and then a school bus
A real one.
disappears. Yes, Zach sees a UFO in real life. A school bus full of douchebags gets sucked up, and then later the school bus gets dropped into the wilderness with nobody on board. Um, Zach and Kara go to investigate the school bus late at night, and they get caught by the sheriff. And when he drives them back into town, the whole town is empty. And that's the first thing that happens in the movie. It's like halfway over, and finally something's happening.
It has taken a minute.
Yeah, and there's some chases and stuff. Anyway, none of this really matters. Nothing matters until we meet the guy who does the comic book. That's when I start paying attention because it's about a comic book and it's like, what the fuck is this ridiculous bullshit? Because okay, this guy worked as like an orderly in a hospital where he interviewed Luke Skywalker and got the story about the aliens, and he starts turning it into a comic book. And he he sells this comic book idea to some publisher. It is obviously intended to be 3 issues long because it is called the Dark Ones trilogy. And there have only been
And it
two
has to be a
issues.
trilogy, right?
Well, here's what's interesting is that he calls it the Dark Ones trilogy from the very beginning, obviously. And he has published 2 issues, and the story isn't over, but he is all out of interview material from Luke Skywalker. So, Ted, how did he pitch this story when he didn't have a conclusion? Why did he pitch the story before he had a conclusion? Why didn't he make something up, or how is he selling this trilogy? Also, how does he have a mansion now already when he hasn't even finished the one thing that he has pitched? Because he's not some famous artist who just stole an idea. He's just an orderly.
How many comic books have you had published, Matt?
I mean, I'm not a professional comic book person. I have had many ancillary connections to the comic book world and have owned a comic book store, and I know multiple people who both write and draw in the comic book industry, and most of them, although they are professional comic book creators, still have day jobs because being a comic book creator pays fuck all. And
Yep, and that's
this
what I
dude,
mean.
this dude has a butler. He has
You've had
butler
two,
money. Huh?
You've had two
Yeah.
published, right?
Yeah.
So that's as many as he did. So yeah, no, no.
But my
And
butler
also-
tells me I'm really good.
Yeah. I mean, your butler's doing great, but what I'm saying is he's had two, and it's also not a really well-known comic, as the vegetarian girl Kara says in the diner. It's not like the most popular one in the world. So,
But he also
how
has
he has mentioned,
he has a deal with Warner's.
yeah, it's fabulous.
Yeah, it's okay. So they track this dude down. She she calls like the president of his fan club because he has one, and they give him an address near Chicago. So they hit the road. We cut to Mr. MK Ultra dining with his agent, who's freaking out because the third issue isn't out yet, and he's like MK Ultra's having this like depressive episode. He's acting like a rock star, and they show this like hideous modern mansion that just it's ugly as sin, and I just do not understand what world this is. He got, according to his agent, a $50,000 advance, which does not explain the mansion or the butler.
Not at all.
And this is clearly his first published work. So Zach and Kara show up at this mansion and they just push past his butler, who doesn't call the cops or anything. They just find the interview tapes that he made of Luke Skywalker. They find them in the room with the indoor pool. Which
where do you keep your I hijacked mental patient tapes, Matt?
Yeah, it's the layout of this mansion is very confusing.
If I had an indoor pool, that's where I would keep my weird tapes.
It seems to be his work area. And they watch a bunch of tapes. They have plenty of time to do this before the dude wakes up. And then he wakes up, and instead of also calling the police or throwing them out or threatening them, since now they know his... Yeah, well, the weird thing is, so these strangers, they have just come to his place. They started going through his shit. They now know his secret about having stolen this idea from a mental patient. His reaction is to serve them dinner. So they all dine together, and he basically tells them about how Luke Skywalker used to be a normal dude, and he started having these intrusive dreams, and then a therapist hypnotizes him, and it turns out that they aren't dreams and they're memories, and he's a 250 million year old alien from Xeno 9. And then we get the whole rest of that story. Um, and now he has a palatial estate and a 3-picture deal with Warner's, and there's supermodels, I guess, according to him. But there aren't any in the movie because I guess they couldn't afford supermodels. But they talk about it because that is part of the rock and roll lifestyle that this comic book artist who has written and drawn 2 issues of a trilogy. This is insane.
It is. It's absolutely bonkers. But, hey, why not?
And yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. So then, basically, they have to break Luke Skywalker out of the psych ward. I have another question here, which is, why does his ID badge still work to get him in and out of a secure ward where he is no longer employed?
Canada. It's 1997. Just don't think too hard.
I'm pretty sure that this is near Chicago.
No, it's Canada.
This is yeah, there's a jailbreak. It's moderately thrilling. and they put their alien dinglies together from their dreams.
Oh right, yeah, they squish their bits.
Yeah, so what this movie is coming to is that since Luke Skywalker and Zach and Kara are also, they are themselves, but also they are the aliens that inhabit them. So they have the ability to pilot the Laserhawk to stop the Arachtoids. Okay, I mean, that's fine, I guess.
Whatever, they steal a fucking military truck and try and break into a base or successfully.
Okay, you skipped over the part where the way they sneak in is by luring a military guy by pretending to have car trouble, and then he leans in to inspect their engine, and then they gently caress his back with the hood, and he falls
really
unconscious.
Impressive how much murder happens with smashing his back gently with the hood of a car.
Yeah, it was it was not the best part of the movie. It was perhaps even a bit of a misstep.
You know what? Maybe the problem isn't that they didn't do it right. Maybe the problem is that the reality of the matter is that they, in fact, were doing a good job of doing theater acting. They were trying
what they were doing.
Softly doing it. Yeah. Maybe they were like, we'll do it gently, and then we'll do a better cut later.
I did not get the impression that the director of this movie was overly concerned with this movie.
Yeah, no.
Were you surprised by how small Luke Skywalker's part actually turned out to be?
No, actually, I'm not. Based on what this movie is, I think that they were like, Luke, we're gonna give you $50 because we know you need it. We're only going to need you on screen for about 14 minutes, and it was like $50 for 14
that
minutes?
Long? For real, like, they definitely had Mark Hamill for one day. There's no way that it took longer than that to film his part.
Oh, not at all. I mean, it was short. It was fast. Um, I would, I would love to be more connected to the industry to actually be able to ask somebody to be like, Mark Hamill, will you talk to me? But I don't have that kind of connection. I could talk to like maybe 8 people if I tried hard enough. Maybe 8 people. And that would take a lot of work.
I feel like he has more interesting things to do.
Yeah, Mark Hamill's out of my league.
He didn't in 1997, I guess, but now,
Hey, he
yeah,
just
it was
getting
a
out of
very,
being the
very
Joker bit.
small. He was. I mean, he's a great Joker.
He's the best Joker.
I do love his Joker,
and
I'm
don't care
glad
about
that
anybody who ever says that fucking Heath Ledger was a great Joker. Ledger was not a great Joker. It was also a really bad series of movies.
I feel like Heath Ledger was the most interesting part of that trilogy of movies. That
And
said,
Bane was the worst.
I didn't love Heath Ledger. I didn't hate Heath Ledger. But that is definitely not my favorite Joker. And I did not like Christian Bale as Batman at all.
Well, all right. So,
Mark Hamill's terrific, though.
He is. I'm only going to do this for just a half a fucking second. Christian Bale as fucking Bruce Wayne would not have had teeth as jacked up as his are. And I'm not saying that he needed to go to the orthodontist to have his teeth fixed to play Batman. But if you are the richest man on the fucking planet and you're not going to fix your teeth and you're also going to be Batman and anybody's going to see your fucking face as Batman and be like, nah, that was Bruce Wayne's teeth. Definitely Bruce Wayne. Those are recognizable, jacked up fucking teeth. Because he's got some fucked up teeth. And fucked up teeth happen. I've got some fucked up teeth. They exist.
Do you think it would have been smarter for him to I mean, for the character, presuming that this is Bruce Wayne in real life, should Bruce Wayne wear like fake fixed teeth in his dealings as Bruce Wayne and then remove them when he's Batman? Or should he just let Bruce Wayne have kind of gnarly teeth and then wear like scarier teeth when he's Batman so that no one mistakes him for Bruce Wayne?
Do you know what a merkin is?
Yeah.
Get a mouth merkin. Just like put some fake hair.
just like a big old pubic mound of fuzz where his mouth should be.
Face bush.
That would have been a surprising choice. I feel like if they had gone that route, less of the conversation would have been about Heath Ledger. All right. Luke Skywalker dies on the way into the military compound and never even makes it.
It basically doesn't matter.
No, his part is not real significant. They ostensibly kind of need him for the coordinates. None of it is really that. Yeah, whatever. It's boring. His part is boring and wasted, and he was Mark Hamill, so they should have given him something more interesting to do if they're going to get him to be in this movie. Here is the series of notes that I made for the following scenes in the movie. The kids get caught inside the ship. General Butt Munch storms onto the base and wags his angry whittle fingies at Colonel Teagarden. Teagarden says that they've been trying to open the ship for 15 years with no luck. Kids explain that the blue lights imprinted on the minds of Luke Skywalker and the kids. We have to get back to our ship. General Buttmunch gets mad and makes the colonel arrest the kids and the comic book guy. As they're being taken away, Kara tells the colonel where to find the ruptured hose that brought the ship down in the first place. Zack and Kara kiss in military jail and gain the confidence of the colonel. Probably because of their specialized knowledge of alien hoses and not because he loves teenage kissing. Now, Zack and Kara get to fly the spaceship, and MK Ultra is jealous. The military wants G.I. Joe to replace Luke Skywalker. Colonel Teagarden punches his superior, and then the kids get on a spaceship and fly off to be cool and save the world. So that's about right. That's how we get to the main, theoretically, the climax of the movie. That's how we get there.
Yeah, the problem that I have with all of that is there was one moment when they did their like face kiss between bars bullshit. They don't. I remember you was literally what was said, and there's absolutely
I remember you.
Oh God. Oh God! Oh, this.
I dug that out of somewhere.
Oh, sister, I miss you. Oh God, why is it? What have you done, you son of a bitch? Underneath the same sky. Oh,
is it going to unlock the memories that you're actually a 250 million year old alien from the planet Xenon?
I can fly the spaceships. Oh. All right. I'm switching these memories back down.
Put it down.
I'm not from whatever 9. Fuck this. All right. Here, hang on. Yeah. So they didn't know anything about anything at all, and I remember you, and suddenly, like magically, they can do fucking everything, which is absolute horseshit. Really frustrating. They don't explain anything at all, and then they end up getting on the ship and they get to go and fly off to theoretically try to save the day, which is easy as fucking pie.
Well, you think that because they have a big Canadian space battle, but then Ted, you think it's over, but it's not actually over because there's a mothership. How exciting was that? Like a 2?
I mean, yeah, that's giving it a little more credit than I would, but sure, give it a 2.
So yes, there's the climax is a space battle, which is very much, this movie came out like basically the same time as the premiere of Stargate SG-1, and it basically, like, in terms of scale and impressiveness of presentation, pretty much on par with that kind of TV fare of the time for their space battle. Not I've seen worse.
I have too. I mean, I'm gonna put this out here, just to be a little realistic about the way that this movie has gone. These guys have some pretty serious beliefs, really strong beliefs about vegetarianism. They're showing up and trying to interrupt other people's lives and other people's worlds, and trying to spread their own beliefs really hard. And they don't like it when people don't do what they want to do. And they're pretty strongly willing and obviously capable of forcing their ideas and beliefs on other people, even if they get locked down for a very long period of time. When they decide that they're going to go and fucking kill all these arachnoids about all this business, they, I'm calling this a final solution.
It's yeah, there are
They're exterminating them.
they're zealots. They're straight up zealots. And
Yeah.
other than, I mean, other than the perspective that obviously the human race in this equation is going to be eaten, so clearly our best interest is in not being eaten, so we side with them. But just like take one step back, and there's really like the benevolent aliens don't really seem that great.
No, MK Ultra tried to feed them meat. They're going to kill him here in a bit.
Yeah, okay, like may did they ever maybe think about having a conversation with the Arachnoids about uh alternatives to farming higher intelligent life form? You know what I mean?
It's
Like,
been 250 million years. They haven't even tried to have a conversation. They're just killing them. They
yeah,
are just killing them.
that's what it seems like. Now, did we admittedly, I didn't have the easiest time staying like fully attentive to this movie. Did they make contact with other members of their race in the present day once they were
No,
piloting the Laserhawk? I don't remember that
no,
happening. So
no.
maybe
It's been
they're
250 million years, and
so maybe they're
apparently
alone.
their ship. It maybe, but it's been 250 million years. Their ship is still so cool that they can kill all of them, like full genocidal. Like, we're so much better than you 250 million years later, and then they're like, let's fuck off and kill other species
Yes.
too.
Yeah, full on. Like that's where we end, is like they blow it up. And they have they make sure they sort of overuse the CGI and show us some arachnoids. Not, it looks like Babylon 5 basically. But they make sure to show us the aliens so that we know there's living beings on board when we kill them and blow up their ships.
Oh,
And
hey.
and then Kara's like, that was cool. And I thought, was it though? And then yeah, the alien blue lights basically offer them the opportunity to fly off and quote unquote help other planets. MK Ultra is not all that into it until he imagines that there might be babes on other planets. So yeah, basically they all are
Come on, Matt.
trying to,
Wouldn't you want to have babes on other planets?
yeah, but yes, I obviously I would, but that's because I am a gross, horrible person. And like me, these three people are are gross, horrible people about to fly off into space to spread their nasty
All,
ideology.
all magically know how to fly that ship and commit fucking genocide like serious good goddamn Nazis. The final
Oh
solution.
boy.
Let's spread the final solution throughout the galaxy. The way that movie actually ends up, it's like, wow, you guys. They had opportunities to make it not go Nazi-esque, but it went dark, hard, and fast. And they never explain how they get these memories.
It's no, they are not consistent with the whole like the separate or joined consciousnesses within them, the access to those memories, the difference between Mark Hamill and the kids. Like nobody seemed to think much of this through. But the other weird thing is, first of all, it's kind of weird that they end up with these two kids in the same town because they didn't both grow up there. So it was weird that they ended up in the same place. Um, but why did they like if the benevolent aliens are supposed to somehow know like where the harvest is going to start? Because they say that there's like a test. This is where they like reach in and like and taste the batter to see if we're ready yet. That's how they do things. They do a test harvest to decide if they want to take the rest of us. So did they know that this is the spot? Like, are they supposed to have all been here at this time? Um, but the greater problem I had was why do the Arachtoids why do they care about these three xenoids who were left behind? Because they have no more resources than the humans that they are inside of. They don't even have bodies. They can't do anything. Um, it seems like if they hadn't done their test harvest in Melville where those aliens were, um, nobody would have even tried to stop them because there wouldn't have been anyone to try to stop them. So the only reason that any of this happened is because they did it in that exact spot. I don't understand why any of that happened the way it did.
You're thinking way too hard, and I think that you need to soft lob that and just imagine another reality here where you got to take into account the fact that this all began 250 million years ago. And back in the 40s to 60s, people were making aspic. Does anybody eat aspic anymore?
Nobody I know.
So 250 million years ago, you seeded a planet to make your aspic. Are you ever going to come back and be like, oh, golly, I do sure want this gelatin laden with shrimp and peas and carrot shreds? I don't fucking think so. So, realistically, if they actually came back, there's a problem with this species. Maybe genocide was right.
I mean, maybe. Or Ted, maybe, and I mean, I feel like we probably touched on this when we did Fresh. Maybe what you're not thinking about is that people are so delicious that nobody can ever get tired of eating them.
It, are you suggesting cannibalism just to try it out now?
Well,
I mean, you were
I
suggesting
feel like
no,
look,
hold up. A few episodes ago, a few recordings ago, I don't know if we released it, you were suggesting the actual literal eating of the rich. I mean,
I stand by that. But look, I feel look, it wasn't too many episodes ago, possibly the same episode, possibly not.
welcome back.
Well, hopefully
It's
this
beer.
shouldn't take long.
Yeah, no, this should probably be only like 5 minutes.
All right, let's wrap up our discussion of Laserhawk, which has already been had more time devoted to it than it deserves. Although we have devoted a similar amount of time to discussing current events, but those aren't nearly as fun as Laserhawk, which I guess maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a way to make Laserhawk seem more entertaining by comparison. Uh, I do remember before we were abruptly cut off what I was saying regarding our ongoing discussion about how delicious it is to eat people for fun and profit. I believe that there was a time recently when there was a suggestion of you eating a person just to help a friend dispose of a body.
Oh, fuck, that did come up, didn't it?
And that may or may not have been in the same episode in question.
I don't know if it was, but I do appreciate it.
I feel like that is a great act of kindness.
And I believe that what I said was, I'm a good friend, but I'm not that friend.
But imagine, I mean, that's a real stand-up act right there. Someone somewhere is that guy.
I'll help you eat this guy.
And
Yeah, no,
if you're still a vegetarian, it's even a greater act of kindness.
that sounds like a bad act of anti-self-care.
I mean, going straight from vegetarianism into eating a whole person is that's maybe a bit of a shock to the system.
Probably. Probably. But
Laserhawk.
yeah. You know, Laserhawk was fun. I honestly I can't believe this movie got made. I can't fucking believe that they actually got Mark Hamill in this shit.
It had to be a real low point. It's a shame. Or he had reason to believe that there was more to it than this.
Probably, but you know what? All things said and done, I really have a lot of fun with this movie, and Mark Hamill being in it makes it even better because, like, you can't possibly get something like this now.
No, and it's got that that 90s Canadian flavor, which is it's a flavor I enjoy. It is not like good for you, uh, but I like the taste. This this movie is not entirely competent. It has some real standout head scratching moments that make it worth revisiting just for kind of the what the fuck factor. It's yeah, I can see this is not a movie that I feel like I would return to a lot, but it is a movie where why I can see why this would hit you in the right way, that like this would become that thing that you return to, you know. It has those ingredients that there I can see why there were elements of this movie lodged in Erica's brain uh and needed to be put back together so that the
You
whole
have to
can
suss it
be,
out.
yeah, so you could look at it again. I get that. I can see why that happened. It was not a good movie, but I can see why it sticks with you.
It's a good movie to talk about.
Sure. Yeah, and I'm glad we finally got there because I didn't want to have it looming over my head like a horrifying responsibility. Because there's so many other wonderful Canadian features that we need to visit.
Well, Matt, what's this movie actually about?
Oh, fuck. I guess it's about aggressive vegetarianism, and how it inevitably leads to a totalitarian regime.
And the final solution.
And oh, and people are delicious.
Yes, people are delicious. Totalitarianism and yeah, genocide, final solution.
But why is this movie not as good as RoboCop?
This is a beard stroker right here. Why is this movie not as good as RoboCop? I'm gonna have to fall back on a classic. I don't think anybody got shot in the dick.
You are gonna have to watch RoboCop again so you can change up your answers. That is the threat hanging over you now, Theodore.
All right, so scrambling, because I fix everything. I saved it.
Nice.
I saved it. We don't have to do RoboCop again right now.
Not right now.
Not right now.
You bought yourself another week, buddy.
Exactly.
All right. Well, let us reconvene next time for something equally Canadian, but hopefully very different.
Sounds good. All right.
All right. I love you, Ted.
Love you too, Matt.
Have a great night.
You as well.
The Depot Devoid is that place your mind goes when you've lost your train of thought, but you haven't found a new one. The Depot Devoid podcast is hosted by Matt Fagan and Ted Fagan. Depot Devoid is not hosted by Ian Fagan because he died and we miss him. Find our full video episodes at Depot Devoid Podcast on YouTube. On social media, you can find us at Depot Devoid Podcast on Blue Sky, and for now, still on Facebook and Instagram. Or you can email us at depotdevoidpodcast@gmail.com. And of course, you can listen to the show on all of your favorite podcast platforms.